Good morning, beloveds. I feel better today. I woke up with a really awful headache yesterday. And I just hurt all over, like just ached all over. And today I ache from going to the gym, but not the way I did yesterday. So I feel a whole lot better. It's just like, all right then. You know, the human body is amazing. But, and I got most of the stuff done that I needed to do yesterday. I was just like, all right. Okay. Today is April 28th. Our title is, I See God Reflected in Every Form. The first quote is, the Spirit of God hath made me, and the breath of the Almighty hath given me life. That is Job 33:4. And then, this quote is from the Quran. We created humanity, and we know what their soul whispereth to them, and we are closer to them than their neck vein. And that is from the Quran, which you might recognize that as it's either Rumi or Hafiz poem, because both Rumi and Hafiz they like to call them meditations on the Quran. So a lot of their poetry is actually from the Quran, where they have gone in and made the language beautiful and set it in poetry lines. And so that's why they call it a meditation on the Quran. It's really interesting. Okay, so long after meditation and much deep reflection, having passed through the confusion of human experience, Job finally arrived at the conclusion that the Spirit of God was within him, and that the breath of God was his life. We all have traveled this same pathway of experience, and always there has been a deep inquiry in our minds. What is it all about? What is the meaning of birth, of human experience, of the final transition from this plane through what we call death? Somewhere along the line, we too must understand as Job came to understand. With the Quran, we must realize that the divine is closer to us than our physical being. It is the very essence of our own being. Our external search after reality culminates in this greatest of all possible discoveries. Reality is at the center of our own being. Life is from within out. God is ever present. We should enter at once into our divine inheritance, no longer as searchers after, but as users of the highest gift of heaven. Today, I no longer judge according to appearances, but realize that the ever-present good seeks to proclaim itself through me and in my every act. My search is over. Today, I speak this reality into my every experience and see God reflected in all whom I meet. And that is E.H., which is Ernest Holmes. So that was from one of the daily guides written by Ernest Holmes, sometime in the history of the Science of Mind magazine. Oh, gently. Sorry, I was talking to a cat there. But it's a good reminder for us, too, to be gentle with ourselves. So, I see God reflected in every form. Nope, it's not the title that I want to deal with. There's a line in here. What was it? Our external search after reality culminates in this greatest of all possible discoveries. The external search for reality. At some point, we have to realize that all of the searching outside of ourselves is not getting us what we actually want. What we actually want is the relationship with the divine. Now, there's a lot of other things that we want, but at the very center of our being, in the secret place in our heart, what we want is the connection with God, with spirit, with the essence of our being, with that which created us, with that which breathed life into our being. that which animates us, and that which is what we will go back to when we make that transition. That's what we want. We want to know what is it all about? Well, that connection is what informs us. And as soon as we figure out that the place to go for that answer is within, that we're not going to find it out here, then life gets a whole lot easier. And I'm not saying that everything that we have touched outside, they're all guideposts. So there's a lot of good information out here. But every time you get good information, it always points back directly within. Go back to the heart, go back to the heart, go back to the heart, go back to the heart. Go back to the center of your being. Go back to the essence of your being. Realize that the essence of your being is that which you've been seeking. God, spirit, whatever word you want to use. That's what we're looking for. That is what we've always wanted to look for. When we say we're looking for the meaning of life, what we are looking for is the connection to life, the connection to spirit, the connection, And so that's what he's talking about today. Job figured it out. Now, we don't have to be put through everything that Job was put through to figure it out. We absolutely do not. We can use Job as the guidepost. Go read Job and then come to the same conclusion and realize that what you truly want is divine connection. Because all other connections that we make are a pale comparison to the divine connection. Even when they are rich and wonderful and full, it's still, because what we're doing is we're mimicking the divine connection. And in those deep and rich and full relationships, connections that we have with other people, the divine is there. Because we're emulating that relationship. And what you find is when you have that deep connection with the divine, with spirit, with God, then most of your relationships become deep and rich and full, because you now know, oh, this is what I've been seeking. Now that I've got that, I can incorporate it into all of my relationships. Because I got what it was that I've been looking for. And once I found what I'm looking for, I don't have to search for it anymore. I do have to consciously connect with it, though. So once you give up the search because you found what you're looking for, it's up to you to deepen and enrich and make full that relationship, that connection, that divine connection. And one of the ways you do that is by using it for all of your connections. So, all right. I see God reflected in every form. That is the title today. And that's what I'm talking about. It's like once you've made that connection with God, it informs your connection with everything because you see God everywhere. And so I commend to you the book of Job. The Spirit of God hath made me, and the breath of the Almighty hath given me life. I mean, you want an affirmation? That's a pretty good one, So Job 33:4. And then the Quran, we created humanity, and we know what their soul whispereth to them, and we are closer to them than their neck vein. That is from the Quran. And then I believe both Hafiz and Rumi have, touched on that particular line. So, after long meditation and much deep reflection, having passed through the confusion of human experience, and I like how he says that, the confusion of human experience, because human experience is confusing. Absolutely. Every time we think we've got a handle on it, our fellow humans throw a new monkey wrench at us, and we're just like, all right then, now what? Job finally arrived at the conclusion that the Spirit of God was within him, and that the breath of God was his life. All right. So that was Job's conclusion. It's like whatever else is going on out here doesn't matter in the long run, because the God that I seek is already within me. And once I know that, I can deal with all of this. I can deal with the human confusion. You can deal with the human confusion. And we can work to make it better, to make it less confusion. Mostly because we have more we can focus more attention on the human confusion because we've stopped the search because we found what we were looking for. We all have traveled the same pathway of experience, and always there has been a deep inquiry in our minds. And here's where Ernest is talking about the inquiry. What is it all about? What is the meaning of birth, of human experience, of the final transition from this plane through what we call death? Okay. And he doesn't answer any of that. He doesn't answer any of that, but he says connection with the divine. Somewhere along the line, we too must understand, as Job came to understand. With the Quran, we must realize that the divine is closer to us than our physical being. It is the very essence of our physical being. Everything that we are made of is God. We were made by God, of God, for God. So we are made of spirit. It is literally the essence of our being. So spirit is closer to us than our physical body because that's what our physical body is made of. The very breath that animates us is spirit. All right. Our external search after reality culminates in this greatest of all possible discoveries. Reality is at the center of our own being. That's where God is. We don't have to go looking for God out here because God is always right here. What Reverend Jesse likes to call the secret temple of the Most High. It's already within us. Reality is at the center of our own being. Life is from within out. God is ever present, which is why I say there is nowhere you will ever go that God is not. Because one, everything's made of God, and two, anywhere you go, you will carry God with you. We should enter at once into our divine inheritance, no longer as searchers, but as users of the highest gifts of heaven. Once we realize who we are, it opens us up to the possibility of what we can do because we enter into that co-creator relationship. We understand that we, as children of God, have the ability to shape our reality from inside out. And sometimes that starts by, how do we feel? When we walk into situations that are messy and confusing, because we are going to, the first thing we do is decide how we feel. Once we know how we feel, then we decide how we are going to act. So that's where our power starts. It's definitely not where it ends. Okay, so today I no longer judge according to appearances, but realize that the ever-present good seeks to proclaim itself through me, through you, in my every act, in our every act. Our search is over. Today, I speak this reality into my experience and see God reflected in all whom I meet. Does it change how you interact with people when you consciously look in their eyes and see a beloved child of God looking back at you? And more to the point, to see God looking back at you, no matter how they're behaving. Because we all act out of alignment occasionally. So, and so that's one of those things. It's like, okay, I'm way acting out of alignment. Let me go look in the mirror. Let me see God looking back at me. Let me look in the mirror and see that beloved child of God. And let me calm down. So, that's the power of that. To be able to go and look in the mirror and see God looking back at me, to know that God is there, and to see that I am looking at a beloved child of God. If I can do that for myself, especially in the height of, the human confusion, then I can do it for anybody. And it changes the way we interact when we do that. It is an amazing gift that we can give each other. So the mission today, should we choose to accept it, from Ernest Holmes, because that's who wrote today's, is to recognize, and I'm going to use his words, the reality at the center of our own being. To recognize that it is the breath of God that animates us. That God created us out of itself. And that God's spirit is closer to us than our own being because it's made of. We are literally the breath of God. And we are the channels for God, for creativity, for peace, for love, for joy, for happiness. All of that. We are the channels of that from spirit into the material reality. So we can work on that human confusion. All right, beloveds, that's the mission. All right. Recognize your reality. Recognize that the reality comes from within you out. So look around your world. And if you're not happy, know that you have the power to change it. And it starts with how you feel. All right. The other thing that I always recommend is the same spiritual practice of doing something loving for yourself, doing something kind for yourself, doing something compassionate for yourself, whatever it looks like, big, small, doesn't matter. Point being, to do that loving, kind, and compassionate thing for you, for yourself, to practice upon yourself, to take that time to really savor and engage all 5 senses in something. Or to take a nap, or to take a walk, or to put your phone down for 15 minutes and take a breath or two. So, it's about creating a habit. It's about creating a default setting. It's about practicing on yourself. It's about creating a first response. It's also about creating a bank. I haven't used that metaphor in a while. Is creating that bank. When you practice love, kindness, and compassion on yourself, you're creating a bank to draw from. So that when we enter those situations of human confusion, we have a bank of that to draw from because we've been building it. We've been working on it. We've been creating that habit. So please practice on yourself. Because if you can do it for yourself, you can do it for anybody. Trust me on this. All right, beloveds. As always, I encourage you to do something to engage your mind and your body. I encourage you to go get, some bright light first early in your day, reset those hormones, drink plenty of water, always, and open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you, you do live in heaven right here, right now. It's all around you all the time. It's one way to find it is to look for the good and praise it. And to remember, it is a state of mind, it is a state of consciousness. And one of the ways that we figure out that where heaven is by recognizing where God is within you all the time. Okay. So, I'm going to tell you to have a great day and a wondrous day, a magical day, an enchanting day, a fantastic day, a Thursday. Today's Thursday. You may be watching this some other time. It may be a different day, but, kind of get that Thursday energy going. And have a good day. And if that's too much pressure, simply have a day. Because you're enough just as you are. You are a beloved child of God. I have said that more than once. I will continue saying it because it is the truth of you. All right. Catch us on the social medias. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark. I am the running Rev Ryan. If you catch us on the YouTubes, please click on the playlists on either one because that'll sort things based on like if you go to our YouTube channel to look at the soul sessions, then there's a playlist that says soul sessions, and all of the soul sessions that we have recorded are in that playlist. So, yeah. Also, email info@creativelife.org. Get on the constant contact. That way you know what's going on, even when we don't. Because I heard we have a guest musician coming soon. That'll be cool. So, please check that out too. And that's what I know. So I'm going to move into the process of my day, and I'm going to tell you to know that you're loved always. And I will see you at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. Take care of yourself, and I will see you next time. Bye, beloveds.